Greetings to everyone. My name is Kate Huddlestone. My name is Kate Huddlestone. This is my sign name, Kate. I work for the University of Stellenbosch, and I'm responsible for the research on South African Sign Language. Thank you.
I'm going to switch to voice. Okay, I do have a PowerPoint, but I will wait for it to be on the screen. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Firstly, there is a person missing from the stage, and that is, of course, Modiegi, who I know all of you know. She is, last year her post was made permanent at Stellenbosch University, and so she is in the process of moving permanently to Stellenbosch. So unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here today. Next time you see us, she will be presenting on our work. So I think the battery in this is going dead. That's not on. Okay, that would explain it if I switched it on. Oh, let me just go back. Okay, so these are the members. These are the pictures that you see very small there are the ones of those of us at Stellenbosch University doing research on South African Sign Language. So it's me and Modiegi, and her focus is largely South African Sign Language acquisition as well as sociolinguistics, but I'll talk about that a bit more. And then you are probably all familiar with Professor Anne Baker. She's an extraordinary professor. So she's not permanently in Stellenbosch, but she does come regularly to visit us and give her expertise. And then we have a PhD student, Andries van Niekerk, who I think many of you also probably know. He used to be at the NID. These are the researchers at Stellenbosch University. And then, of course, we have Zulfa Shabuddin, who assists Modiegi with teaching South African Sign Language. That's in our department. And then, of course, you've been introduced to HandLab, that is also linked to our to the university. And then we have sign language interpreters at the Language Center. But today I'm just focusing on the research in our department. So I do have a presentation with publications and so on that we've produced and that we will be producing. But I want to just give you a broad overview of what sort of research we do. And it's focused on three streams: the structure of South African Sign Language, the sociolinguistics of sign language, and the acquisition of South African Sign Language. So in terms of the research that we have done, Modiegi has done her research on variation in a school in the Western Cape. So lexical variation, that was her master's project a few years ago. And Andries did his master's also on variation in, he looked at comparing the lexicon of different varieties of South African Sign Language with different sign languages. That was his master's project. And then I had a NRF-funded project where I looked at negation in South African Sign Language, and many of you assisted me with that. So thank you very much for that. So I've got all the bibliographic details, but those aren't important. What's important is what we actually did. Then in terms of acquisition of South African Sign Language, we have postgrad students who've done their masters. Amy Palmer looked at the use of a sentence repetition task, and recently Simone de Toy as well. Amy looked at kids, how they perform on an SRT, whereas Simone looked at young adults. And then we've got students working on sociolinguistics. So Modiegi and my honors student, Honse Mashala, looked last year at what are the expectations and the perceptions of South African Sign Language becoming a 12th official language. And I have a student who looked at code blending in a bimodal bilingual family. So what do we want? What are we doing at the moment? Well, we're doing a lot of work on the structure of South African Sign Language. Andries is looking at verb agreement. I'm trying to look at information structure. Again, thanks to funding from the NRF. We're also looking at what the results of the SRT that Simone ran can say about the grammar of South African Sign Language. What does it say about the structure? And then we're also starting a project on looking at classify handshape, which I know Wits is also busy with, so we want to collaborate. We're still working on variation, looking at sociolinguistic variation. Madiegi, Anne, and I, and Andries have all worked on various aspects. And we're also very interested in looking at how the Penn Dictionary signs have changed. What are there any that are still used, and so on. And there we're also talking to the NID. And then Madiegi will be starting her PhD, which is very exciting. And she'll be working with other members of the department who aren't sign linguists, but work on child development. So she'll be working within a very large SADLR-funded project developing a child development inventory for South African Sign Language. So the project as a whole is developing these CDIs for all official languages. And so up until now, they've been working on the 11 official languages, and now it's very important that South African Sign Language be included. So that is where Madiegi will be working. And then lastly, it's something, again, we've been talking to other sign linguists across the world about developing a sign bank. So not a dictionary, although we will consult with the NID, among others, and talk to, I know Naomi and I have been talking about collaborating, but developing a sign bank for use in transcribing and annotating research on South African Sign Language. So yeah, those are our big plans. Thank you very much.